this infographic here, where we would talk about normalizing stress physiology and distinguishing the difference between acute and chronic stress. Again, being able to tell stories. We use pain neuroscience education to be able to give playful examples. We talk about, can you explain what would you do if a lion comes into the room now? What would you do? What would you do? There's a lion coming to chase you. What might you do? Run away. So if you can do that, you can instantly get someone to be able to explain the autonomic nervous system. What wouldn't you do? Okay, would you be hungry? Probably not. Would you be horny? Probably not. Would you want to go to sleep? Probably not. Would you be healing the cut on your leg? Probably not. And if you can explain what you would do when a lion comes into the room just like that, you understand what the autonomic nervous system is all about. So then we use a playful story where we'll say, do you watch animals chasing? And the one that I will use will be David Attenborough. Is he popular over here? Yeah, so I love watching David Attenborough, and there's one where it was a couple of years ago now, but I've always used it to be able to communicate stress physiology, where a wolf was chasing a rabbit, and in that moment, the wolf is in full fight or flight stress physiology, just like you would be if a lion came into the room, to be able to chase the rabbit. If it doesn't catch the rabbit, doesn't feed its babies, doesn't pass on copies of its DNA, blah, 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 blah. In the same time, the rabbit is in full stress physiology, and if he doesn't get away from the wolf, doesn't bring up his babies, doesn't pass on copies of his DNA, etc., etc. So they're both in full fight or flight stress physiology, eyes wide, heart rate up, respiratory up, everything that you just said you would do when a lion comes into the room. The really interesting thing in this case was it went on for 30 seconds. The wolf didn't catch the rabbit, is what happens 2 minutes later. The wolf is just lying underneath a tree again. The rabbit is just carrying on eating food as if nothing has happened. Something that us as humans are able to do that animals aren't is to be able to think about the future and mount that full stress physiology response, not to the lion in the room, but to the thought of the lion in the room. Something that animals are able to turn their autonomic nervous system from fight or flight to rest and digest, just to turn it on and turn it off. And what we have is, if we spend a large portion of our time in fight or flight stress physiology, all those things that weren't important when a lion was in the room chasing you, like digestion. Well, we know that digestive issues tends to come a lot with a lot of these things. Is it a good time to sleep? No. Insomnia, that tends to come in with these types of things. Libido, we make connections to all the autonomic systems that aren't being used. Those things then tend to become part of the picture. Okay, so we will use that to be able to explain stress physiology, with the whole point of the takeaway from that being, is there any way that we can get some things that you enjoy back in, that you find relaxed in, that might help you shift from fight or flight to rest and relaxation? For some people it might be meditation. I've got ADHD. Meditating is actually stressful for me, so for me it has to be just shifting my focus to something else. Playing an instrument, walking outside, hiking, helping someone else find what it is that is going to help them from a stress physiology perspective, able to connect to the neurophysiology of pain if necessary. But just getting people to do these things is probably going to have a positive impact on what they've come to you for.